Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pink Buckaroo Designs, and I'm going to show you how to make this really fun masculine birthday card. It actually has a window, and when you lift it up, you can see that there's the motorcycle. See how that's actually clear? We don't color it on the window, but it looks like it's colored when you close it. I'm using 3 different stamp sets, Pedal to the Metal. This is from the Spring Stampin' Up! Catalog, the January to June 2020 catalog. All Wired Up, which is a background stamp set from the annual catalog, and Label Me Bold, which is also from that January to June catalog. This card has lots of steps, but I think it's worth it. The first thing we're going to do is stamp that All Wired Up background, and we're going to emboss it with silver embossing powder. Now I'm going to use my Stamparatus. I prefer to use my Stamparatus with my background stamps. It just makes things so much easier. And I'm going to just set that stamp right there in the middle, close my plate, and open it up. And I'm going to set that right there so that'll be flush. Now I've just got a half sheet of Whisper White cardstock. Let's see. I'm going to put it right there in the middle and hold it down with these magnets. Make sure that one's sticking out a little bit. There we go. All right, now we're going to emboss. So the first thing I'm going to do is de-static it, if you will. I'm going to remove any static that might be on there. That way when I put those embossing powder little specks on there, it won't stick to where I don't want it to stick. Now I'm going to use Versamark ink, which is a clear ink. It is the ink we use when we want to emboss. It will stick. It will allow the embossing powder to stick to it, and then when we hit it with a heat tool, it'll dry and activate that embossing powder. So when I stamp it, you may not be able to see it, but I'm going to put that embossing powder on it, and you will definitely see it then. All right, so I'm going to use silver. I wanted this to kind of look like a chain link fence. Let me get a scrap piece of paper over here. And I'm going to just sprinkle that all over. And let's see if we can get it without making a huge mess. There we go. All right, now I'm going to tap that just into my scrap paper. And then I'm going to take my scrap paper, make a little funnel. We've got a little tiny red piece there. And put it all back in. There we go. Okay, now for the heat tool. This is going to take a minute or so. It takes about 15 or 20 seconds for the heat tool to heat up to the right temperature to turn the embossing powder to activate it. When it's hot enough, you'll see it start to change. I can see it now starting to get shiny. Now I'm going to speed up the video while I heat the rest of this. All right, it's all done. I need to cut this down to be the right size for my card front. So I'm going to use my trimmer, and I'm just going to cut it down. Let's do a little bit more in. I'm just going to cut it down to 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm using my paper trimmer. Let's see, we're going to just start right here, and then we'll bring this edge over to 4 right there. All right, now we're going to cut several circles, and we kind of have to do it in a special order to make sure everything fits. I'm going to use a Granny Apple green card base, and I'm going to lay this on here. I'm not going to adhere it quite yet. I'm going to take my largest, I have 2 dies, the largest stitch circle, and then a layering circle that fits right inside to make that frame. We're going to use the smaller one first. So grab your die cut machine, and I'm not going to adhere that on there yet because I want to get that window sheet sandwiched in between these. All right, now I have it over. I've got a lot of little leftover bits there. Now I'm going to put it right there. I kind of want it in the bottom right corner. I'm going to cut these at the same time, like that. Okay, now while I have the machine here, let's cut out that silver frame. This is silver foil, and now I'm going to take this circle, put it here, and then this larger circle and put it over that. We're going to make a circle frame to go around that circle. Let's take a look. All right, there we go. It's perfect. All right, for the next part, we're going to bring the Stamparatus back. We're going to need to line these motorcycles up perfectly. So the Stamparatus is going to help us do that. I'm going to take my Whisper White piece. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere it right here. All right. Now I'm going to close this card because I want to get that motorcycle right in the center. I'm trying to think, make sure I do this the right way. Yep. Okay. Got that. Now you got to think ahead. Put your motorcycle right there in the center of your circle and close and pick up. Okay. Now we're going to use 2 different blacks because we're doing 2 different things with this motorcycle. On the inside, we're going to color it with Stampin' Blends. So when you color with Stampin' Blends, you want to use Memento Black. Okay. So do that. Now we're going to put some adhesive right here around the outside of the circle. Right now we're going to take our window sheet. This is a 3.5 by 3.5 piece of window sheet. I'm going to lay it down there. Now notice I haven't moved anything because I want this to line up exactly when I stamp it. But this time we're going to stamp it in StazOn. StazOn is great for non-porous surfaces like this plastic window sheet. It will dry and not smear on here. But let's go ahead and wipe off the Memento. Get your stamp clean, but we want to keep it in the same place, right? All right, now open your StazOn and stamp right there. And it's going to stamp that motorcycle exactly over the other one so that when you lift up the card, it will be in the right place. It will look like it's the same image. All right, while we've got this here in place, let's just go ahead. I'm going to give that a couple of minutes to dry. You can hit it with a heat tool. It will dry really well on that window sheet, but it is wet for a little while. So be careful, okay? Now, remember that window, that edge that we cut out, that frame, that's the word I'm looking for. I'm going to just put a little tiny bit of Tombow around the edge. This is going to be right there. All right. Now press that down, and I'm going to give it a little bit of time to dry, and I'm going to come back and finish the card. All right, let's color the inside. I decided to go with a really bright green, so I'm going to use my Granny Apple Green on this motorbike. I know exactly who I'm sending this card to. I have a friend whose husband is turning 50, and he is a guy's guy, and he and his son like to go out and ride bikes in the mountains. So this is going to be the perfect birthday card for him. All right, so I'm just going to give it 1 coat of the light. Then I'm going to take the dark, and I'm going to add some shading. I'm going to go along there. I'm going to do some shading down here, anywhere where there might be a shadow, okay? Let's see. And you know, I realized these bars I wanted to do gray, so we're going to leave those and color over them in a minute. We'll do some dark down here. Do a little bit of dark here like this. And then I'm going to take my light and I'm going to blend those colors together. All right, like that. There we go. Now let's take our dark smoky slate and let's see if I can fix my mistake. Right here, this one I wanted to be gray, so maybe it'll be a green gray. There we go, not too bad. That color colors the light green up just fine. All right, so the handlebars, and now all of this down here, and I don't know the names of any of this stuff, you guys. We don't do bikes in this family, so I'm I'm educated. I'm sure it all has a name, and I'm sure that some of you out there will know what it's called. All right, kind of fill in. I'm gonna add a little bit more there where I want it to be super dark. Then I'm gonna take Basic Black Light. I'm gonna color these tires. Basic Black is a very dark Stampin' Blend, and I rarely use the dark Basic Black. That's for just really special circumstances. I want to be able to see some of these hash marks here in the image for detail, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to come back, I'm going to come back with my Smoky Slate Dark and fill in these little spokes. All right, what do you think? Did I miss anything? Nope, I think it looks good. All right, but we don't want it just floating around in white space. So I'm going to use this image right here. This is from the Label Me Bold, and I'm going to stamp it in Smoky Slate, but I want to stamp off because I want it to be pretty light. So stamping off is when you stamp and then stamp off on scratch paper. All right, see how it's really light. There we go. Now I'm going to take the little dots from that same stamp set and I'm going to stamp those in full strength just a few times. All right, very cool. Now, last thing we want to do is finish the front, and I'm going to use this Happy Birthday stamp from Label Me Bold, and I'm going to stamp it 3 times. And this is a red rubber stamp, so you could do Stays On or Memento, whichever you like. And I'm going to stamp it 3 times, and then I'm just going to get my paper trimmer and I'm going to cut all 3 of them out. All right, these are very narrow. And so I think even the mini dimensionals are going to be too wide. So I'm going to just cut off some of this edge from my regular dimensionals to put on the backs of these because I want them to pop up. All right. And we're going to do 3 of them. You could do several of them if you wanted. You could do 5. They say to do things in odd numbers. I don't know why, but it's more pleasing to the eye. Who comes up with this stuff, guys? Who knows? Who decided that? I don't know, but that's what I've heard. All right, now bring our card back. And we're going to do 1, and I kind of just want them kind of wonky, not real straight or perfect. Now, one last thing we're going to do. I've got my gold gilded gems, and I'm going to take that basic black. Remember I said sometimes I only use dark basic black occasionally? Well, here's a good way to use it. Color in, color about 4 or 5. If we're going to stick with that rule of odd numbers, let's do 5. And then we're going to put them all over our card front. Probably give them a minute or so to dry. Alcohol ink dries very quickly. You won't have to wait long. There we go. And right here. And see, I think 4 is good. No, it definitely needs 1 more. What do you think? All right, come on, little gem. I don't have my take your pick tool. This would be a lot easier if I did. And let's put it down here, a little cluster. And we're done. What do you guys think? Isn't that a fun birthday card? I think kids especially would really like that. It's kind of magic. It looks like it's colored in, but then when you open it, it's colored in on the inside. All right, now I have 2 other Pedal to the Metal projects over on my blog. On the post that's linked here on YouTube, you'll find this PDF, and I've got 3 projects on that post. Each of them have a video, and you can check them out and find 3 different ways to use your Pedal to the Metal stamp set. All right, you guys, please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.